if I were to get fired for making a similar mistake or for speaking out of turn or just, as I said, being loose,
Yep.
I would not be able to live with myself.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 253 of Token CEO. I am today's guest, Francis Ellis, joined as ever by the intrepid host, Erika. Is that
Good
the right
job.
way to say
Yeah,
that?
that's good.
Okay.
Keep going.
Today's episode is presented by Omega Accounting Solutions. Guys, attention small business owners, you may be eligible to receive up to $26,000 per employee through the employee retention credit. Erika, that's a lot of fun cash.
That's a lot of money. That's per employee.
Wow.
Yep.
Imagine what we could do with $26,000 per employee here. Omega Accounting...
You went to Harvard really quickly. We have 420 employees times $26,000.
Oh, God. 26,000. Yeah, I'll try.
Go.
260 times 4 is 20. Oh, it's like 1.04 million, and then a little change on top of that. It's probably close to like 1.15 million, something like that.
What do we got?
I hope I'm close.
Is it 26,000? How many employees?
Per employee. So let's say we have 420 employees.
420 times...
Oh, shit. You were off.
I was off by
All right. That's
orders
10 million
of
bucks.
magnitude.
Okay.
Well, there goes the ad read.
This is why, no, that's why you need accountants.
It's embarrassing.
We can't add.
Yeah, they can do it for you. Don't hire me. I'm more of a written word person. Omega Accounting Solutions can help you recover payroll tax overpayments and determine if you are eligible to receive up to $26,000 per employee, guys, which if you have 420 employees is somewhere around $11 million. Just off the top of my head. All it takes is a quick, easy, and free 10-minute consultation to determine if you qualify. Guys, Omega is the small business champion with teams dedicated to maximizing tax credits. CPAs even turn to Omega for ERC guidance.
Employee retention credit.
Bingo. Take advantage of this exclusive small business tax credit now. The 3-year sunset deadline for filing begins to close March 31st, very close to April 15th, tax day, 2023. So learn if you qualify today. Call 800-300-9ERC. That's 800-300-9ERC, 800-300-9ERC, or visit omegataxcredits.com/Barstool Sports now.
Great.
Guys, I am Francis Ellis, and I am today's guest on Token CEO, and it is an honor. Lots of fun, meaty stuff.
You're very good at your job.
Thank you. You too.
No, I don't know about that. I'm not good at podcasting, but you're great at this, so keep going.
This is what happens when you have to do it on your own.
Sing for your supper. Yep, I got you.
Guys, my interview on this excellent podcast is sponsored by Athletic Brewing Company.
Okay, Francis, what do you want to talk about? Welcome back.
Erika, it's an honor to be on Token CEO. Thank you for having me.
I just gave a presentation in St. Louis, and which was great, to this like social media agency. It was great, and I used your Fox News thing as one of my examples.
My mistake?
Well, I don't know if it wasn't really your mistake.
No, it wasn't.
Or what do you think? Do you think of it? Well, let's just start there. Tell people what happened.
So I had become a somewhat regular guest on the Jesse Waters program.
And how did that happen? Honestly, I saw that on Twitter, and I thought you just like superimposed your head in there. I didn't really think you were a guest on Fox. I was like, what? I thought you were like doctored it up, and then I was like, oh no, wait, this is real life.
I wonder if we have editors skilled enough to do that. We probably do. But he had seen this video I made of stopping people on the traffic in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Where, I was in traffic coming into the Holland Tunnel one day, and people were using the shoulder, the breakdown lane, to cut.
Okay, and then
I moved out into the shoulder and then drove at the regular speed of traffic and stopped it.
Okay.
And that went everywhere.
Yep.
It was very polarizing.
But probably felt really good.
Oh, it felt really good. Yeah. And
did people honk and swear at you?
They were furious.
Yeah, I bet.
But I said, not today. Someone needs to stand up for what's right. Stop and go traffic. People were using the breakdown lane to cut everybody until I stopped them. I moved out into the breakdown lane, and I am moving with the regular flow of traffic. These ladies right here, we gave each other the thumbs up, right? I'm acting as a roadblock of justice. We got a big SUV behind us, keeps flashing his lights at me, honking his horn. Not gonna lie, it's a little intimidating, but I'm not moving. You gotta play by the fucking rules. Not all heroes wear capes. Shut the fuck up. And so he saw that.
So your payment for that was to get on Fox News.
Yeah, he saw that. They ran the clip, and then he asked me about it,
Okay.
and I was very prepared for that.
Okay.
And so I stayed in character and was very dry and unapologetic.
You had like kind of a recurring gig being funny.
And they kept inviting me back.
Yeah.
And on the third or fourth time, and by the way, I asked Dave for permission to go on Fox. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, of course. So the fourth time I went, I didn't, the first three times, the questions they asked me were apolitical.
Funny.
Yeah, it was just nonsense. And then the fourth time they asked me a more politically driven question about how Massachusetts was lowering the voting age lower the voting age to 16. And I didn't really know how to take that.
Sure.
And I leaned into sort of like a right-wing troll role.
Okay.
Of espousing almost QAnon theories. Okay. And of course the Democrats want children.
Yeah, right.
Whatever.
Okay.
And I came
going
off,
for a comedy slant or fuck,
I'm always trying to be funny, but that one, I kind of went into this, I didn't know where to take it, and it was impossible to not.
Yeah, you were like, I'm going to step on it one way or the other.
Yeah, and when I came off the show, I didn't really have I wasn't happy with how I'd done.
Sure.
And I came home and sort of told my wife, I was like, I don't think that was very good. And she had said, well, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
Does this matter a lot to you? And then the next day I was hosting the rundown, and the rundown ended. The screens went off, which held our ad copy. Mm-hmm. This was my first time doing the rundown since coming back to the company. Since coming back
to Barstool, okay.
And I didn't know. I said, that's the rundown, goodbye.
Yeah.
And I assumed that meant the show was over.
Yeah.
And then Roan asked me, we forgot to ask you about your Fox News appearance last night. And I said, I'm glad we didn't talk about it. I wasn't happy. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think my performance was good. There are a lot of people on there who don't know that I'm messing with them. And that I did this political stuff, and I don't think it's very good for the world. And Rudy said something like, well, it's not your job to fix people. And I said, it's not my job to fix people, but I certainly don't want to further divide the country. Yeah. And all of this was still on tape from an audio perspective. And when we finally stood up, I went up to one of the producers and I said, I just want to double check that none of that's going to be in there. And he said, yeah, of course.
Because you were fair. You had some harsh words for Fox.
I certainly did. Characterization. And I had dropped any pretense of character.
Yeah. And you were just talking honestly to Roan.
Yeah. And my mistake is, no matter what, I'm still in front of cameras with a microphone on me. Yeah. How many times do you need to learn that lesson?
Yeah, it's kind of a stupid lesson to learn, but it happens to everyone.
I guess so.
Okay. So then the producer is like...
So they said, yeah, of course, that'll go. And then later that night, I got a text from John Rich saying, hey, man, I don't know how this happened, but we put up the rundown, and it included all of 20 minutes of you talking about Fox News. And... I don't know. We've taken it down. We removed it.
How long was it up for?
I think half an hour.
Okay.
And I thought he was fucking with
you.
Me.
Sure.
And I wrote back something like, haha, I think.
Yeah.
But then he wasn't. Mm-hmm. And of course, someone grabbed it.
Yeah, it's like a little trickle.
Someone grabbed it.
Trickle, and then it's like everywhere.
And I was like, is this for real? Okay, well, maybe this won't mean anything. Yeah. Maybe nobody will care.
Yeah.
And people cared in waves.
Yeah.
It was as if then I got the Daily Beast email.
Yeah.
The dreaded Daily Beast email.
Yeah.
Hi Francis, I write for the Daily Beast. I saw that you had a leaked audio thing happen. Just want to ask you, 1, what does this mean? 2, what were you thinking? Mm-hmm. And 3, are you planning to go on Fox News again? I'm like, oh, Jesus. It's such eerie shadows of the day that I got fired.
Yeah.
Because that same email came
it's the same
from them.
pattern. Yep.
And it was just like, am I really walking through this again? You know?
That's actually funny. You know how like there's, sorry to interrupt you, but you know how there's the thing right now with Google, like, so everyone's getting laid off. Everyone's laying off 10% of their workforce.
Yeah.
So like Facebook laid off 10%, Google's laid off 10%, Vox laid off 10%. And the Google people, everyone is, who else did it? Oh, Twitter obviously is laying off people. And now there's this whole meme going around of like the day in the life of getting fired. So like either your badge doesn't work or you get an anonymous email. Like at Barstool, when you get fired, you get an email from a Daily Beast reporter. That would be like our meme.
Oh, God.
So anyway, sorry. So go ahead.
No, it's terrible.
I remember I felt for you. It's just such a shitty feeling. And that storm is just so loud.
Yeah. And you know, then some mediaite, which I'd never even heard of, wrote an article saying, you know, Barstool Sports star, which I thought was generous.
Yeah. Like, I'll take it.
And Fox News regular Francis Ellis blasts the network, quote, "They traffic and hate."
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want this attention.
Yeah.
I don't. And there were a couple of things that pissed me off. The first part was Roan had said, if they offered you a job, would you take it? And I laugh.
Okay.
And I go, I mean, that would have to be a conversation with Dave. Hey, Dave, I just got offered a full-time job at Fox News. I'm kidding. Mm-hmm. I think anyone with an ear would know that. Imagine the insanity of that conversation with Dave. I've only been here 4 months.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, I just got offered a full-time job at Fox News. Can you match it? You know, like, what? No. And yet, the left took this thing, the left outlets, and spun it as, one, he's almost already an employee of Fox News.
Actively being courted by Fox News.
Here's someone from within the ranks speaking against the establishment.
Yeah.
And even though he spoke truth and said they're terrible, he still admits that he'd accept a job. Like, can we really hold him up as a truth speaker? And it's like, oh my God, guys, make up your mind. And then the right was like, fuck this guy. You know, he blasts the network that's given him such a big opportunity.
Bit the hand that feeds him.
And yet he still says he'd accept a job. So I got it from both sides. Mm-hmm. And in a way, that helped me not care.
Yeah, you're like, this is preposterous.
I'm like,
did you like it? Like, are you like,
no.
Like Dave has this ability to love being in a storm. It's actually, I think, one of his best qualities and rarest qualities. I think it's the worst. I hate it. It just makes me sweaty and like uncomfortable.
I didn't like it because I had evoked and quoted my wife and had said that she said, do you really want to be working with these people? Yeah. So a lot of the hate that I got was like, fuck your wife. And I was like, damn, I should never have mentioned her. You know, God forbid people come after her. And it's a militant group, you know. It's these and by the way, I think I should say that if I had been doing these sarcastic appearances on CNN, it is just as likely that I would have said something
equally
disparaging of them.
Yeah.
So I have
on a hot mic.
Yeah, I have no.
Yeah. You're like, I want people to see my humor and my craft.
I don't have any
opportunity.
Commitment to either side and all of that. But I don't like being,
how mad were you at the producers and the editors?
I mean, look, the only way that I've been able to make peace with my own mistakes is by convincing myself that I have a large hand in them. And even if I'm wrong, I have to believe that it's my fault.
Yeah, you're like, I talked when I shouldn't have, and I had the mic on.
Which allows me not only to forgive, but to try to be better about not making those mistakes again.
I get that. Did they apologize?
They did.
Yeah, that's good.
And I certainly didn't want anyone to get fired or anything like that. But, you know, it just spun out. I mean, we had that crazy guy come into the office under the pretense of, you know, coming after us. And the funniest part was, the next day, Dave texted me because I had to call. I called him
Yeah.
and I didn't pick up.
Yeah.
And then I texted him. I was like, I need your advice.
Yeah.
And I told him the whole story. And he was very level.
Yeah.
He kind of goes into like, all right, we have to handle this. This is what I would do.
Yeah.
And
he's great in a crisis.
Yes.
Excellent.
He's very, very cool.
Yeah.
But the next day, when kind of it was like, this isn't the worst thing. And you were super helpful too in calming my heartbeat. But he said, I texted Tucker to let him know that you don't speak for me. Because he's tight with Tucker and doesn't want my words as a reflection of the brand.
This isn't a company statement.
Yeah.
A Dave statement. That's interesting.
And then Tucker told me to tell you, don't let your wife dictate your life. And I wrote back, LOL, I needed that. And Dave wrote, I don't think he's kidding.
That's the perfect pin in this situation.
Oh my God.
That's so funny.
And then I had a moment where I was like, fuck Tucker. Keep my wife's name out of your mouth. And then I'm like, nah.
Like I put it there.
That's fine.
That's funny.
That's fine.
I mean, Tucker just did the Age of Men documentary. Have you watched it?
No.
Oh, yeah, you should watch that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I shall.
I mean, that's funny. Okay. So what are your what are your takeaways?
I need to be, you can only make the same mistake, as I said so many times, before you have to realize that it's
Well, you've
something
only done
you're
it
doing.
once.
I'm just loose.
Yeah.
I'm loose.
Yeah, okay. Do you think that you're bigger? Did it make you realize you're bigger than you thought you were? Visible, followed. Like, that always surprises me with us.
I think that it's so impossible to take any kind of, for me, it's always the brand.
Yeah.
It's Barstool. That headline reads Barstool Sports guy, not random comedian Francis Ellis. And therefore, it is always that I bear a responsibility as a mouthpiece, however big or small, for this company.
Sure.
To choose my words carefully.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much we can disavow what a person says here, they're still on payroll.
Yeah,
they're still
totally.
someone that we hired. And, you just I learned that lesson the hard way the first time when I got fired. And now this job, and I'm not just saying this because it's you, is so vital to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And is so, I'm so happy to be here again, that if I were to get fired for making a similar mistake or for speaking out of turn or just, as I said, being loose, I would not be able to live with myself.
Yeah, I understand that. It was funny because I noticed that reaction in you. So one is, I think, we just handle things so differently. Like if we were an ESPN and you were an ESPN personality, ESPN comms would have been all over this. Like, we're going to handle this the way we handle everything, which is like shit happens. You just got to let it play through.
Right.
And you got to steer the course. But it was interesting in your reaction is that you were so worried about Barstool.
Yeah.
And I don't think Dave and I were actually we're like, this has happened. We've been knocked in the face or fucked up or made so many mistakes in the last 6 years that I felt like I was like, oh, Francis, like, I'm not even going to get worked up about this one. Like, it's going to pass and it's going to work through. But
today's episode of Token CEO is sponsored by Athletic Brewing Company. I'm a big fan, and they have been an absolute lifeline for me because they have a number of incredible alcohol-free, non-alcoholic beers. This is one of my favorites. The light beer, obviously, sort of one of their signature products.
Are you an IPA guy?
I love a hazy IPA.
You do?
I sure do. I absolutely do.
It doesn't make you feel like you're drinking a loaf of bread?
It only, the thing is that I only have like one of them.
Okay.
And it almost makes me, drink less.
Okay, that's great.
And Athletic Brewing Company makes an IPA that tastes exactly the same as a delicious, alcohol-infused beer.
I love a near beer. Perfect for a January spent not drinking.
Exactly.
But you don't want to not be social,
Right. You don't want to make people uncomfortable by not having
right.
that beer. So you pour yourself a beer, nobody's going to know the difference, doesn't matter. You're part of the fun, without the hangover. That's the deal. You're going to have better energy. You're going to have better clarity of mind, better spirit. That's how I've felt.
Really?
All
You're
month.
probably going to lose a little weight?
You lose weight. You feel good. I have to say this January has been a very eye-opening experience. It really has. And I've been helped out a lot by Athletic Brewing Company. So guys, they make a wide selection of near beers, including IPAs, Goldens, Darks, Light Brews, and more. As I've said, big fan of this myself. Erika, sounds like you are too. And new Athletic customers can receive 20% off their first order of 2 6-packs or more when they visit athleticbrewing.com. Use the code TOKENCEO. One word, TOKENCEO at checkout. Visit athleticbrewing.com by March 31st of 2023 this year and use the code TOKENCEO at checkout to receive 20% off your first order of 2 6-packs or more.
What is also your perspective of having been here, then, kind of built yourself on the outside and now being back? Like, did that make you appreciate Barstool more coming back? Like, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. My mentality is completely shifted. The first time I worked here, I was young.
Yeah.
I think I got hired when I was 27 or something like that. And it was, I was nobody before that. I was tutoring.
A tutor.
Yeah. And doing stand-up, and nobody gave a shit. And I got hired here, and instantly, you're plugged into this incredible ecosystem, and, if you do well, great. But as I said, you're on a stage now with an audience that has been built from the hands of Big Cat and Dave and Kevin and all these people over a decade or more. And it's a privilege to be serving those people that you didn't bring.
Yeah. Somebody worked hard to get all those eyeballs to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And the first time I worked here, it took me about a year to find my footing, but then I was doing well, I thought, and, it all went to my head. You get all of these comments that are like, every time you write a blog, someone's like, you're too good for Barstool. Like, when are you going to make the jump to SNL? And of course, SNL had always been a dream of mine. But you start to believe your own...
Yeah, you buy your own hype. Yeah.
Hype. And you start to have that thought of like, well, it wasn't so much that I thought I could necessarily do better. I guess maybe I thought like, well, at what point am I going to strike out on my own?
Yeah,
And
this is a good finishing school.
But, like it's a stepping stone or all of that. And in a way, my arrogance manifested my own demise. Because as we've always said, I had given you guys no reason to fight for me when I made that mistake of writing the blog. And so I was gone. And it was a very rude awakening. It was a precipitous drop into... not obscurity, but, you don't have a paycheck anymore. You don't have the infrastructure.
You don't have a place to go.
You have to pay for any
production
out of your own pocket. And all of a sudden, you're just sort of scrambling around on a basement floor. And I had to, all of a sudden, it was like, okay, I can only eat what I kill. And you have to work really hard. But I did, and it took me, a couple of years, but I kind of found ways to cobble together.
Yeah, I thought you were so creative about that.
Good
like,
income.
Hungry on it. Yeah.
Thank you. And it's like little things. Like I would write one day a week. I would go write ad copy for this goofy pants company.
Yeah.
But they paid me well. And then you do, your podcast, and we were so relentless about sourcing our own ads and like going into coffee shops and asking if coffee companies wanted to sponsor us.
Yeah.
And, you just run around.
Yeah.
And it's rewarding, but it's uncertain.
Yeah.
And it's tiring.
Yeah.
And you only get paid if you work. So
and you've got to keep running.
Can't take vacations. Yeah, it's like a wedding costs you double.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think towards the end, I was surprised to look and say, after I think the third year that I was away, like, wow, I made really good money this year. And I had more people coming to my shows than I did. And I wouldn't have said ever that I was doing better than I was when I was at Barstool. But I thought I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm safe
in
a way.
That's right.
This didn't end me. And it was almost as though Dave sensed that.
It. It's like, come back.
It was as if I had finally proven that I'd either learned my lesson or that I was humbled enough. It had been a long enough time out, 3 years.
That's a long time.
And Ronan, Little Sass had me on their pod. Dave saw it. He had me on his pod. And that night he made me an offer. And we negotiated that over text message.
No, totally. It was like a 3-way. Yeah,
I'm sure you were involved.
It was very easy, actually.
Yeah, I was. So, look, this time, working here, my entire focus is how can I give Erika and Dave 0 reason to not renew my contracts?
Okay, yep.
How can I armor myself? How can I create job security and just stay here as long as they'll have me? And if I just also have, in the interim, I've seen people come into this company and explode through any ceiling I thought might have existed before.
That's interesting.
There is no limit to how high you can rise within Barstool. Even the foreplay guys, obviously Spittin' Chicklets, of course, call her daddy. There's just like, there have been so many examples you can point to, whereas before it was only really
it was
Big
still the
Cat,
original guys.
and it was like people, and I'm like, well, I'm never gonna fucking catch that.
100%.
I can't do that. I'm not
we grew a lot in that time, to be honest. I actually think the timing was great. Who's a person here that you think could really break out but hasn't yet? It's
tough because
nobody's good as you.
No, and I don't know if it's me. I just I think what I've seen is that it's not so much talent necessarily, it's vision and opportunity.
Yeah, and ethic, work ethic.
Riggs
is a machine.
Is someone who
maniac
is so smart about how he seized on
he was so deliberate.
A missing space.
Definitely, so deliberate.
And I mean this with no disrespect. I don't think he would say that he's the funniest person. I don't think that he would say he's like the most dynamic person on camera. He's not like a scratch golfer. And yet he's
the guy.
Become the face of golf media.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, well, okay, there's that route. There's sort of the Brianna chicken fry route, which is, I think, connecting with a young audience and really utilizing like TikTok and being relentless about social media, being on the road, grinding, I don't know that I have the energy for that as a 33-year-old man, potentially on the verge of starting a family.
Yeah.
And so I look around and I'm like, all right, I'm constantly looking for opportunity.
Yeah, that's great.
Of series that we can attach a sponsor to. I mean, Caleb is for me.
Yeah, Caleb's
the most stud. The one where I can be like, well, potentially I could try to do what he does.
He's a great example.
Yeah,
it was so funny. So Gaz and I were supposed to have. We're doing talent meetings, which you'll be on the docket at some point, and so we had 7 lined up on Friday. So I was in St. Louis and get off the plane, like hustle, get back to like my computer so I can be ready. And I'm like all fired up for like all 10 hours of like talent reviews. Jesus. Only 1.5 people showed up.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so we called the Chicklets guys. They're like, we're golfing in Orlando at a Pink Whitney commercial shoot. So we're like, you good? They're like, we're good. Okay, so that didn't happen. And then Foreplay showed up. So all the Foreplays guys were there on time, which is very Foreplay. They were like anal and like Caleb was like right in like his Nashville apartment, like ready to go, and then nobody else showed up. Like literally not a person showed up.
I mean, how? I don't understand.
I don't think people check their email here, which actually is, I don't mind it. But it was so funny. But it is, look, there's so much. I agree with you. Like you gotta. It's the Riggs example is a funny example. Is you don't have to be the funniest person or the best looking or the, there are a lot of people on the internet right now getting lightning in a bottle where you're like viral for that one moment.
Right.
You're viral because you're an asshole driver in the New Jersey, tunnels or whatever. But there's the people who can grit it out. Like I look at like Jack Mack and the TikToks right now. Like he sounds to me like Dave. Like he actually, he's clearly studied Dave and has a thing where he's like, I'm just going to go viral on TikTok every day. I'm going to talk about whatever fucking story I want. So you're right that there's different pathways of it. I think yours is a little bit more art driven, which is, I think, Caleb's path. Like Caleb's an artist, but that's so interesting. The inside to inside is an interesting journey. You talked a little bit on Dave's show about your screenplay.
Yes. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
That's been an interesing journey that you are, directly involved with.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great.
We've been building this together for a couple of years now. And I distinctly remember, I had pitched to a producer in Hollywood 3 ideas for a TV show. And he was, the first 2 were just instant no's. And then the third one was based on, I called it an abstraction of a workplace comedy based on my experiences at Barstool Sports. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And then we fleshed that out. He brought it to... And we can say Happy Madison.
Okay, yeah.
Which is Adam Sandler's production company. They took it. They brought it to a studio who also took it. And then the next challenge was getting you and Dave to sign off on it. And that was really intimidating for me.
Yeah, that was interesting. Because when you came in with it, I was like, oh my God, that fucking guy is going to steal like our story and sell it for himself. But you guys didn't. You were great about it.
I mean, it was interesting when you told me later on that you and Dave both wondered if I was trying to fuck you guys over. Because most
people who we've fired have tried to fuck us over.
I get that, but like...
In our defense.
I get that. But I didn't think I had the power to do that.
It's so funny.
I didn't see, what I mean?
You just didn't see it that way.
Yeah, like, I was always so intimidated by you guys. I was the dog that you guys had kind of kicked out of the house for my own doing. But I was very sheepish and very deferential. And I was always worried of any time. It was as if people, by the way, wanted me to say something bad about every
the
podcast.
You pitched, or when you
I'm
were
saying
outside?
Just out in the world, like every podcast that you go on, everyone wants to stir up
question,
beef. Like, what was that like? And it's the first thing. And I remember Dave being like, well, he's talked about it, everyone. It's because that's the question everyone asks me.
Yeah.
But
they want their own page views.
Exactly. But, we knew, I think, that we couldn't do it without you guys. Of course, this is your story. And as the show evolved in terms of the idea, obviously, I think it was more the Dave and Erika story that seemed the most compelling.
Yeah, it's interesting what people want.
Yeah.
Like the politics of getting a show made in Hollywood, I think is super...
Right.
That's been very eye-opening how slow that process is.
It's frustrating. And, we've had all these updates and lots of time will go by between the next phase of it, and we've kind of just been inching it forward. And we thought we had a big breakthrough, and then that sort of, the timing wasn't right. And now we're in this interesting place, and I mean, it's very hard for me to know where things stand. Do you think it gets made?
Like if you're a betting person.
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
I don't see why it wouldn't. But I've just been so naive all along. This is the first project I've had that was in that
world out of your control
of Hollywood, and I don't know when the right time is for this. I thought it was right now.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's entirely possible that we'll get a call tomorrow.
Yeah, totally.
That says, hey, we've added this actor to play Dave. We've added this actor to play Erika. This director got interested, and Netflix is
I think it's so chance. That's why it takes so long. It's like relationships and the moment. Like, it's funny, and like we're so like agnostic of a moment because we are the moment in a lot of ways. Like, it just shit happens around here. And in Hollywood is different, where it's who do you know, and you got to work the relationship, you got to gauge the mood. But that'll be interesting. I hope it gets made.
Me too. And I appreciate your patience with it. And now, in the midst of it, I got hired back here. And it's been a sort of challenging tightrope for me where, I don't want to give you false hope. But
about the screenplay?
About the show. The show.
Who cares? Like, that's not on you.
Sure, but, You once came down on me.
Oh, I did?
Do you remember?
No.
Over the special.
I did? Why?
And rightfully so.
I don't remember.
Because I was sort of negotiating for what I thought I should make.
Oh, in the deal?
I'm talking about the stand-up special I did at the Wilbur.
Oh, the stand-up special. All right. Rewind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This was in Arrogant Francis era.
Yes, this was.
I did buy you a pair of shoes. So.
You did. Really nice.
Very
Ferragamos.
Nice shoes. Yes. I lost so much fucking money on that show. I'll just tell you.
I know, and I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It was a good show.
I did my best.
Yep. I love you on the piano. You're so great on the piano.
Thank you. We were you got mad at me, and I needed to be smacked a little bit.
Yeah.
But that was the sort of the first in a series of things that really put me on the chopping block in a way. And that was when I realized, you are a very kind person and very approachable. Mm-hmm. But I had a question for you today, which was, if you had to say, who do you think is more intimidating here, you or Dave? What's your answer to that?
Oh, Dave.
See, I
would
have said you.
Why?
Because I've experienced.
Oh, like getting bitten by me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's not great.
Yeah.
But then I'm over. Well, he's like that too. When Dave barks,
right,
and it's scary. I don't bark, and I'm not scary, but then I'll bite.
There's something about...
And we both get over it.
Yes. There's something about being yelled at by Dave where you've seen it happen so many times. And you're like, well, part of this is probably content. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of venom coming out right now. Whereas you are... I was like, nobody should ever underestimate Erika. And by the way, I mean this.
That's nice.
Out of respect.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Because you are so charming, and you have, when you come into the office, you say hi to everyone. There's this warmth, and there's togetherness, and you truly cultivate an atmosphere of like support. My door is always open. All of that. But that day, I learned like.
Okay, when I don't like something, I really don't like it.
Do not step out of line with Erika. That was a mistake. But
we're back.
Yeah. Yeah. And so to return to this show, I hope it gets made. I think it is a question of timing. And what I've learned too is that, even if something takes years, it doesn't mean it's dead.
It just takes years.
Do you know The Queen's Gambit?
Yes.
Did you watch that?
Yep.
Such a great show. That guy was trying to get that show made for a decade.
Yeah, 100%.
A decade.
Yeah.
And finally, I guess the moment arrived where people were like, hey, people like chess right now.
Yeah. Let's make that show.
Let's make that show. Number one on Netflix.
It's incredible.
Squid Game. That guy in Korea was trying to make that show for his I think
it was like 17 years.
Yes, 20 years, something like that. So
it could happen.
You just never know. I think timing's a lot of it, and getting the right people involved and all of that, and also what a buyer might be looking for.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we don't have a workplace comedy that has a built-in audience, all of that.
All right, that was Francis Ellis. I think that was a great interview. Francis is such a talent. So as a bonus, Francis asked me a ton of questions. I think we put them on social, but we'll answer those on Tuesday.